India's tourism industry is poised to grow to $1 trillion market by 2047, creating close to 400 million jobs. This as per a Visa EY report. In fact, data-led tourism will be the pivotal driver of this growth, with sustainability, enabling technologies and evolving tourist preferences acting as primary disruptive forces for the industry. Sustainable tourism experiences have turned into a big global trend valued at $180 billion. For India, this market is predicted to grow at a 15% CAGR. In fact, as a champion of sustainable travel, India has leveraged its G20 presidency as a strong platform to promote its agenda of developing sustainable and green tourism practices. The EY Visa report has also projected that digital transformation in aviation, travel and tourism sectors will generate $305 billion in value, while transferring $100 billion away from traditional players to new contenders worldwide. Another pivotal trend revolves around evolving tourist preferences, largely driven by the influential presence of Generation Z, which accounts for 24% of the global population, with India hosting 27% of this cohort. Moreover, international tourists in India spend 26 times more than domestic tourists, making a case for turning India into a global tourism hub. Now, while these trends underline the opportunity, the expansion of India's travel and tourism market has been unprecedented. In 2022, the travel and tourism sector contributed $190 billion to the GDP and is projected to rise to $200 billion by the close of 2023, with a staggering projection of approximately $451 billion over the ensuing decade. This, as per WTTC, add to that employment within the sector, which is also expected to go up from 37.2 million in 2022 to an estimated 39 million by the end of the year. The growth is real. Make My Trip, India's biggest travel agency, now aptly dubbed a super app, clocked its highest quarterly gross bookings in the company's 23-year history. While a large part of this growth comes from the core business, the company is seeing at least 17% business coming in from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, as compared to 6% in 2019. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Young Turks, India's longest-running show on startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Shereen Bhan, and joining me today are our old Turks here on Young Turks, Kalra, the founder and chairman of Make My Trip, and Rajesh, Magow, co-founder and group CEO of Make My Trip. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on the program. Always good to have you back. And that's what I meant by old. I'm not referring to the age in any form or fashion here. But Deep, there was a slew of numbers there. And if you look at any survey, any research report, any study, they're all throwing up these big numbers in terms of the opportunity for India in the travel and tourism space. Now, I want to understand from you, 23 years on, what are the big structural shifts that you're most focused on?
Yeah, thank you, Shereen, and no problem with being called old. But the growth in travel and tourism is for good reason. I mean, if you think about it, with India's economic story being so strong, the next decade, I think 2 decades belong to India, and more importantly, it's the youth, like you rightfully called out. It's the youth that's driving this, and if India has anything, we've got the demographic dividend. The way youth spend on travel is entirely different. So at one level, you're getting a lot of trickle down. We have India purchasing power or per capita income going from $2,000 to galloping now to hopefully $3,000 and $4,000. Mobile in everyone's hand, easy to book online, and the youth wanting to spend on experiences and not saving for what we did in our generation. Rajesh and I are both in our 50s, and our generation was always saving up for, that first house, was saving up for a car. The youth of today don't aspire to own either of them. There's a renter generation, but they want to make it up by spending, like I said, on experiences. And number one on top of that is traveling. Traveling, seeing your own country, traveling overseas, literally traveling every long weekend that you can get, and multiple trips. So I think the boom in travel and tourism, and aiding all of this, is, I think, India's infrastructure growth story as well. So getting to remote parts of the country has never been easier. We've got this road network now, which is fantastic, and we can, great roads in all parts of the country, in smaller parts. Airports now, over 120 airports, so getting to different parts has become quick. And of course, trains. Rajesh will talk about his very recent experience with the Vande Bharat train, and he was gaga about it. So I think this couldn't be a better time, knock on wood, Last time I think I said that COVID happened, so I better be careful what I what I say. But yeah, it's about time too.
No. We don't even want to go down that road deep. I hope that is behind us, firmly behind us. But as you pointed out, we are seeing big changes, and all of them portend well for the travel, tourism, and hospitality sectors. But Rajesh, let me flip that across to you on the back of what we just heard there from Deep, and it's starting to reflect in your numbers as well. You've clocked your highest ever quarterly gross booking and profit in Q1 of FY24. Now, as far as your positioning is concerned, as a super app today, Rajesh, which are the big opportunities, the untapped opportunities? Deep talked about rail. That's a big space that you're now looking at. What is this going to mean eventually as far as the business is concerned? How do you translate this growth that is expected into business opportunity and numbers?
No, absolutely. I mean, and let me just build on what Deep said, right? I mean, Deep spoke about some structural shifts and the structural changes that are happening, not necessarily from, let's say, consumer buying habits or spending behavior standpoint, but also infrastructure changes that is happening in India in a big way. So when we started to think more about, our travel super app, our overarching vision or goal was to be one-stop shop, like literally comprehensive product offerings on our platform for Indian travelers traveling within India and traveling outside of India. With a view that we wanted to see that we end up sort of getting more and more wallet share from Indian travelers, like every possible travel use case. This journey, if I take your mind back to, way back in, let's say, around 2008, 2009, 2010, if you recall, we had actually gone public in the US. But around 2008, 2009, around the IPO time, we used to be like only air ticketing business. We used to have 85%, 95%, 90% of our business coming from air ticketing. And at that point in time, our actually IPO pitch was that we want to build a hotel and acco business. And that is when the journey started back then. And we also, by the way, saw that the buying behavior in India, unlike maybe in many other evolved countries, was to buy a transport product first. You would invariably end up buying, a flight ticket first and, block that, keep it with you, and then start to think about building, booking, let's say, a hotel or an accommodation that you need. And then let's say, from our point of view, we were thinking that, when you get down at the airport, you are looking for a cab to get to your destination. We should be able to offer that also. So the idea was to just build one-stop shop to, a very strong customer value prop, if you will, and then leverage that over a period of time to get more wallet share, which will fuel the growth for us.
But where do you believe we're likely to see the next wave of disruption? What are the trends that you're noticing, both in terms of new categorization as far as the customer experience is concerned, and more importantly, what about affordability, Deep? It's still cheaper to go to many international destinations than it is to travel domestically.
Yeah, they're two very different and good questions. I think the second one from the tourist hat. So let's actually address that first, which is what everyone is saying. Every time there's a spike in air prices, or particularly domestic air, and there's uproar that this is too expensive, etc., and it's cheaper to go overseas. I think we've got to fundamentally go back to economics 1.0. We've got to look, it's supply and demand. These same airlines and these same hotels who are today obviously seeing a lot of demand and therefore pricing it right or optimizing pricing had a terrible time the last couple of years. And I don't recall anyone saying, oh my God, the hotels are so cheap or the airfares are so cheap. So that's reality of a fair marketplace. You've got to understand there's a lot of demand. They will respond, and you will see more aircrafts from airlines. We've seen the two largest orders in airline history being placed by two Indian airlines. Some people can say that's too large, but the fact is it's a huge statement. So Indian aviation is on the map. I think there other carriers also growing. So we're going to see more planes come in, which will rationalize this. Right now, you're seeing a spike. Similarly, for hotel rooms, I think we have a shortage of hotel rooms in the country. And you touched upon the point of homestays, Shereen, and absolutely, homestays are an answer not to one problem, which is less hotel rooms. In some cities, that's important. In some places, there are no hotels. But COVID taught us that people wanted to go out to remote parts of the country. There was not a hotel there, but there were homes there. And people were willing to give either one room or two room or their entire home to travelers, again, at a fair price. And, you know, we are a platform that offers now 15,000 homestays. And I think people find that a very interesting way to travel. Coming to more disruption, I think the next big thing is going to be around AI and around machine learning, which is powering that and helping one build a very personalized experience in travel. And just to the point Rajesh was making, like offering everything on the super app, a connected trip. So, you know, he touched upon the point, you land at the airport, you're looking for a cab. Sure, you can do a cab hailing, but a lot of people would much rather have a car waiting for them, because we all know what happens when you reach a destination at peak time, whether it's Delhi, Bangalore, Bombay, or any other city. The cars are, you know, all kind of sold out, so you got to wait very long. So you'd rather pre-book a car. And the beauty of pre-booking a car on the same app on Make My Trip is the seamless integration, which is if your flight's delayed, then your cabbie already knows that your flight's delayed, is not hanging around, doesn't go away, is waiting for you. You get out of the airport, it's typically late evening or early morning. You have your car and you're ready to go. You can keep the car for the day, etc. Similarly with the accommodation need. And then, you know, this journey is starting even earlier now, where we're using it for lending for trips. So trip loans and trip money is our product for that. Basis of your buying behavior with us, we know and we take a educated call on, you know, your credit worthiness. And we go ahead and we offer you a loan for your next trip. And that's being appreciated a lot. My favorite product is actually around price lock. And price lock, as the name suggests, and it wouldn't have happened without AI, is locking in when you see a cheap price. Very often it's early, paying a tiny premium for that, call it your insurance for price. But here's the beauty. If the price gets lower, you take the advantage of the lower price. If the price goes higher, you've locked into the price. Now, that's the kind of stuff which is win-win-win. Everybody wins. The airline loves it because they can fill up their seats early in advance, which is advance purchase. Customer, obviously, it's great for them because you got a cheap price, plus you're insulated against a price increase. And it's good for us too, because we are adding value using technology. I think that's the kind of stuff we're going to see a lot more of. Or there's a trip guarantee kind of product, which happens with rail and waiting list for rail. So we'll see, I think, a lot of interesting stuff, which will make it much easier and for smarter travelers, cheaper to buy travel.